Hey guys, it's Jordan from Two Guys in Traffic, and I'm here in Asheville, North Carolina with the Hyundai Palisade, which is their newest mid-size SUV. Now I'm going to head up to the Biltmore estate and pick up my friend Chad, and we're going to go for a drive and see if we can find some traffic. All right, Chad, well, thank you for joining me here in the Hyundai-like Sunday Palisade.
Comedians in cars getting cocaine?
Yeah.
Wait, what? No. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Jerk journalists.
Jerk journalists.
Driving around in circles at the Biltmore estate.
Yes.
I think that is the current show we're doing. Two guys in traffic, and we're going to go see if we can find some traffic here in Asheville, North Carolina. We are both guests of Hyundai to come down and drive the Palisade, which we just spent a day driving.
We did.
And I think we both really like it.
I think we do. It's for those who have maybe driven the Telluride. I feel like, well, that's obviously their kind of natural competitor.
Because there's a lot of similarities underneath.
Yeah, they share the platform.
Yep.
They share the engine too, I believe. So they share a lot. So it's kind of difficult to differentiate a lot of that between the two brands. Where the differentiation occurs is with equipment, interior and exterior design, and then materials and stuff that are used.
Yeah, and so Hyundai's calling this a mid-sized SUV and comparing it to like the Honda Pilot that is right in front of us.
Which we're following.
And
not the Camry that almost hit us.
Yep,
but,
not that. Three-row mid-sized SUVs.
Right. So Atlas, Ascent, Pilot,
which are all and Atlas and Ascent are both new.
Yes.
Volkswagen Atlas and the Subaru Ascent.
Yeah, those are both brand new.
Yep.
The Pilot's been on sale for a few years now.
Yep.
The Durango, which you can get in 3 rows. Which whatever.
I think it's a lot bigger than this.
It feels like it is. They put it in the competitive set when they did the presentation this morning.
True, yeah.
You can, of course, get that with a Hemi 392, which is ridiculous. What else? The new Explorer, which actually I just drove real recently as well.
Okay.
I think that'll be like a bigger cross shop than Ford wants to admit.
Yeah, and so this is the limited trim, and they seem to have... I like their strategy for trim levels. There's basically 3 trim levels. There's SE, SEL, and Limited.
And then Limited. And then there's no options on Limited at all.
And there's only a handful on all the others.
Right.
And so basically there's the value proposition, which is the SE, which starts around $32,000, like that.
$31,500-ish, $2,000 more for all-wheel drive. And then the mid-range, I don't remember.
The SELs, it's we'll put it on the screen, and it's fine. And then this is the fully loaded Mac Daddy version for $47,000 with destination and everything.
And that's with the all-wheel drive, and that's with all of that. So the major options, sort of on that mid-level one, it comes as an 8-passenger. You can upgrade to captain's chairs in the middle. Yeah,
so it's 2 in the stock trim, a regular trim, I guess. 2 seats up front for you and I, a bench seat with 3 on the second row, and then the third row also has 3 seats. Right. It's a little tight back there.
Yeah.
What did they say?
They all are in this segment.
Yeah, they all are. What did the segment say? For children or youthful-minded adults or something
adults,
like? Yeah, I would not want to sit back there. But if I had to go for 5 minutes to wherever. I could do it.
Yeah, you're not going to die.
It won't be the worst, but certainly...
It's more legroom than a 911. We're seeing a 911.
Yeah, we're grading on a curve there. But yeah, so it's got 3 rows, so if you do have a bunch of kids, you can do it. I wouldn't say it's a minivan competitor, but if you got to squeeze some kids back there from the soccer game,
sure,
certainly you can do it.
It's definitely not a minivan competitor, but Americans don't buy minivans. So... if you're somebody that wants a crossover that has, a fairly decent amount of space, I mean, I think Explorer has a
Are we calling it a crossover? Or is it an SUV?
I'm going to call it a crossover.
What's the difference?
If you ask me, an SUV has to be body on frame, but there's only been like 3 SUVs.
Yeah, then no SUVs at all. It's a large, multi-purpose vehicle.
Hyundai would call it an SUV.
Yeah, and I think Ford would call the Explorer an SUV too.
They would, but
we could argue about that forever.
We could.
That's what car journalists do.
Yes, that is what we do.
So it's got those, and we drove it on road. We drove it off road, And so we're here in Asheville, North Carolina, and they took us to the Biltmore Estate, which is the former Vanderbilt family summer
house.
Summer shack.
Right.
Really. It's not freaking massive or anything.
With 82 bedrooms. I forget how many bathrooms they said it had, like 50 or 60.
Yeah, a zillion. The place is massive, and it's a really big tourist destination, and it actually is, frankly, gorgeous. And we did some driving on the Blue Ridge Parkway today, which is also gorgeous, even though you have to drive very slowly.
Right.
But
because laws.
Yeah, because laws and twisties and bicyclists everywhere and motorcyclists and all that. But this is a very cool place to stop if you are coming down this way. And we are going to see if we can find some traffic wandering around Asheville, which I hear has pretty horrific traffic.
Well, that's
because
good.
it's been growing a lot. Well, and this is the point of Two Guys in Traffic, is that you drive in the Blue Ridge Parkway, maybe on vacation.
Right.
The off-road, we used the Land Rover has an off-road track here on the Biltmore Estate, and you can come and pay lots of money and drive Land Rovers on very gorgeous off-road trails through the forest. And Hyundai rented one of those out, and we got a guide from the Land Rover Experience folks, which was all pretty cool. And so we both took off-road, got it very muddy.
We did.
And it did very well. I think you and I were both surprised.
The stock tires on this are definitely not off-road focused, but if you are somebody who lives, let's say you live in Michigan, which is a state that once you kind of get out of the big metro areas, the side roads, the county roads, think farm roads in Texas, like they're gravel, they're dirt, they're mud. It's not freshly paved stuff. That's more realistically what a vehicle like this is going to see. It's not going to go rock climbing up trails and stuff. But if you're in that environment or where it snows, which is where you live. I mean, I guess it snows where I live too, but you see more of it.
Not so much down here in North Carolina.
Not so much here. But you have a very capable... It's clear that it's going to be very capable in those settings based on the off-roading that we did today.
Yeah, and so you've got this knob here, and it does, and we've been arguing about this all day, of the different modes that you can put it in. And there's a smart mode where it tries to learn your driving habits or something. I don't know. There's a sport mode that makes it more sporty, throttle response, more aggressive transmission shifts, stuff like that.
It changes the font on the instrument cluster.
It does change the font, which is cool. So you go this, and there's this little whoosh, red explosion, whatever, and then it changes the font and makes it red. And red's kind of cool. I like that.
It's like the Marvel Comics font.
Yeah, and comfort, you leave it in comfort all the time. Eco, fine. If you're worried about fuel economy, you can put it in that. Snow, if you're in the slippery stuff, you can put it in that. And then there is the only button, which is really necessary on this wheel, is the all-wheel drive lock function. Because for fuel economy reasons, it will by default usually be in front-wheel drive.
Yes.
Which most of the time is fine. Right. And then you hit that button, it'll lock it into all-wheel drive, and then you've got a super...
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does a 50-50 torque split all the time. So if you know things are going to get slippery, you hit the lock button. Now, if you don't, if you're just driving along in comfort mode and things get slippery, the computer's going to pick that up. It's going to respond. It's going to send power.
Yeah, it's an auto whatever.
It will do it. But having the actual lock button there is like, okay, you know you're going to go through a muddy section. As fast as these systems respond in sending power either to the front or the rear, there's still the time the computer has to figure out that, the wheels are slipping. I need to do something about that. And while it may just be a couple hundred milliseconds, it's time that you could potentially, in some cases, get stuck. So having the lock button, just being able to hit it, I think is helpful. This does also have hill descent control, which odds are the normal buyer will never touch that button.
Yep, it's right there, big button.
But it is an effective system. It wasn't too loud, and it's like whatever every hill descent control does, which just... kind of breaks for you when you get on the
hill. And I think they said, so the front and back is through that center diff for the torque split, and then left and right it uses the braking action on one wheel to send the torque to the other wheel, which is not, it's not going to be a rally car.
No.
But for 99.9% of people, it's going to be fun.
But mechanical diffs are expensive.
Yes. And on this car, not
you don't
necessary.
Need it. Right. And we were in one situation, an articulation situation, where we were on three wheels, and you could very briefly feel the rear wheel kind of freewheel for a second, and then the anti-lock brakes, you could hear the anti-lock brakes shut that down, which then sent power to the wheel that had traction, and we were, on our way again.
And you don't... I would be shocked if most Palisade buyers ever ran into that situation.
Correct.
But it is nice to know that it's there.
Right. Or, if you are doing, let's say, a snowy start somewhere, you may have a wheel or two that's sitting on ice and a wheel or two that has traction. Road surfaces aren't consistent. So, again, the off-roading that we do, which you'll see reviews from, that people will have photos from, there'll probably be photos in the articles that I write, blah, blah, blah. We'll all talk about how kind of fun it was off-roading, because it was. But nobody's really realistically going to do that. But what the off-roading element allows Jordan and I to do is kind of see how those systems would work in inclement weather.
Take it as far as it's going to go.
Yeah.
So that, because if it can handle the Land Rover experience drive that we just did,
right,
it is going to more than handle anything that a normal customer is going to do with it.
And the one LRE guy was just talking to us before we left, and he's like, actually, it was pretty good. Like, he was kind of impressed with its ability. And I mean, he's dealing with Land Rovers all the time, so to have him, he knows it's not as capable, obviously, but to have somebody like that be impressed, I think so.
It says a lot for it.
It says a lot for it.
And so, it's not going to be an off-road killer, but it doesn't matter.
But that's not who's buying it.
Yeah. And it does have some other cool features. One is the surround view camera, which is, there's this, I think, 10-inch screen is what this thing,
10.2-ish.
Big screen in the middle, and then the surround view camera pops up, and when you're rolling forward, you get a forward view. When you're going backwards, you get a backwards view.
It does a top-down view. It does two curbside views, both forward and back. So that's kind of cool if you're off-roading, for looking for rocks. But then the rear curb view is obviously for when you're parallel parking, which you want to be able to see how close.
Because this does not have auto park.
Correct. And it does have 20-inch wheels, I believe. So
you're going to curb the crap out of those.
Yep. So having that is actually pretty helpful.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I think the really cool thing to note there is just how high quality the video is. It looks really good. You can see what the heck is going on.
Yeah, this new screen, the new infotainment screen in here is really good. It's a new skin on top of Hyundai's already very good infotainment, but it makes it feel more expensive. But the extra resolution combined with the high resolution of the camera makes it feel really premium. Like, it looks like the camera looks good. And some manufacturers, I'm not going to name names, some manufacturers, will kind of cheap out on the cameras.
Yeah,
like the new Wrangler is amazing.
I feel like we complain about that a lot on here. Is like, you've got the camera, but you can't make anything out. And okay, fine, whatever. But then you get something like this where it's really high quality, and you can tell immediately by looking at it. And then you sort of wonder, why isn't everybody else like that? And okay, this is a new platform, so maybe it's a new platform, old platform thing.
Right.
So, you try something like the Explorer, you try something like the Wrangler that's brand new, and you would expect that to be a bit higher quality.
Yeah. But it's nice to see it in here, because Hyundai, as premium as we think this car is, Hyundai's still kind of a value play.
It is a Hyundai.
Yeah, it's a Hyundai. And if Hyundai can put a high-quality camera in here with a high-quality screen and a high-quality TFT display, then why can't
everybody do that? Yeah. And so to transition to that, for the dashboard screen, this is the limited version, so you get this big 12-inch screen, which doesn't do a ton of things. You've got, tachometer on the right and speedometer on the left, and fuel and the temperature gauge, which I kind of like that it's not overwhelming you with stuff. And it does have my three things. We were talking about this earlier. Digital speed. It has that. Big thing in the middle of the speedometer. It has a miles to empty. Big thing in the middle of the tachometer. Mm-hmm. And you get your outside temperature, which are the three things that is all I ever care about in looking at my car. I don't care about the tach. I don't care about any of that.
And some of that stuff's customizable too. And the animations for when you switch to drive modes.
It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. Ford's doing it with the new Explorer. Explorer has the big 12-inch TFT display as well. They do a little bit more with the animations to make it feel a little bit different. I was just in the Explorer, as I said, so if I make a lot of Explorer references, I'm sorry.
Well, and I think that's a fair comparison because they're both brand new.
Yeah.
And so the other cool thing that you can do with this is on I think it's limited to the Limited.
Yes.
Is when you turn on a turn signal, there are cameras in the side mirrors that look back, and it gives you a kind of digital mirror right on the dash. And so we'll show some video of it. And
the left side of the instrument cluster will be for the left camera, right side will be for the right camera. So if any of you guys have ever been in a Honda or seen a video of a Honda with lane watch, it's very similar to that, but instead of putting it in the center display and only being on the right side, they put it in the cluster and offer both sides. And the reason why they can offer both sides is because in the cluster there's differentiation between whether you have the left one on or the right one on.
Yeah, and it goes on when the turn signal is turned on.
When the turn signal is on. When you're in the Honda, because they put it in the center screen, if they put it on the left side, you as a driver wouldn't be able to very quickly realize.
Right to look left.
It would be confusing.
Yeah.
So that's why they just don't do it. But then Honda with lane watch, which they're starting to phase out.
It's a little. I just drove a Civic with it. It was weird.
They don't actually put blind spot monitoring on there.
Yeah,
and
that was the other thing. Yeah, so in this you have that, which is cool. And then you also have regular blind spot monitoring in the mirrors.
Right. And it has lane change assist / crash mitigation. So, like, not only will it beep if you try to lane change into somebody, but
it will actually steer back.
It will attempt to steer back. Now you're probably thinking, oh my God, it's going to take full control for me. What if I want to do whatever? If you can overpower the system, just like the lane keep assist stuff
which
like that,
you can
a
little bit extra torque on the wheel.
Extra torque, and it'll do what you want it to do. But having that,
it's like a double check.
Slightly higher, yeah, it's a double check.
I think of it as like you know when little kids go bowling and they've got the bumpers in the lanes to try and help you keep you. That's what all of those safety systems are.
Right.
It's a little bumper guide to be like, are you sure you want to do that because there's a car there and maybe you didn't see it. And maybe
if you want to throw your bowling ball into the lane next to you,
you can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah, and so you got all that stuff, and I think it's worth going down the list of safety features in this. And so you've got the window sticker up there if you want to look at that, or if you think you can remember.
I think I can remember.
I think this has all the letters.
It does have all the letters. So on all versions, you get autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection. And then optional stuff, I believe, is the lane centering. So it's not just a lane keep or a lane departure warning. It'll actually keep you center in the lane with the cruise control. Full stop adaptive cruise control. So stop and go. Sit for a few seconds. You got to hit the resume button, but whatever. So if you're in traffic, that's a big stress reliever.
Yep. Yeah, it does, and does lane centering and does that.
It does that.
And it does full stop and go.
Yeah, but it's full stop and go. It'll do emergency braking in the rear, too. So if you start to back up and there's a child behind you, the car's going to brake for you.
And cross-traffic auto braking, which is nice.
Which also auto brake for that.
Yep.
So basically it'll brake if you're about to hit anything in pretty much any direction. So that's
you should not rely on the system.
You shouldn't.
To do that.
You shouldn't.
It's a safety backup feature,
right.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
We're going to get that out of
I am not... I don't work for electric. I don't say that this is, full self-driving.
Yikes.
But they are really good assist systems. And on long drives especially, they're great for sitting in traffic, which is what we're going to be doing here in a second.
Yep.
Because
we're already
doing it. And the McDonald's next door hotel. But have you ever gone through and got a stoop waffle McFlurry while doing your video?
No, but that's...
I almost feel like that's something you could do.
Well, that is the world's nicest McDonald's.
That is the world's nicest McDonald's.
Yeah, Asheville has serious... in Biltmore Village here, serious historical building codes.
Yes.
To make everything look nice. So that is a
very
pretty looking
so
McDonald's.
It's very pretty like here.
There was a pretty looking Hardee's around the corner, and I think we saw an Arby's.
Dublin, Ohio, which tends to be a very... wealthy suburb of Columbus is like that. The similar architecture. The point being is these systems are really help reduce stress in long drives.
Yep.
So I was recently in a vehicle. I did a 5-hour drive from from Chicago. After spending a whole day on the racetrack doing track stuff, after only getting 4 hours of night sleep the night before, and I had to get up early. I had to be up at 4 a.m. to go to Detroit for a flight, blah, blah, blah. Point is, I would have been really, really cranky. And I was only slightly cranky. And I attribute my lower crankiness level to the driver assist systems, because while you should never ever speaking of driver assist systems,
that was my foot. Also, she was turning left. She should have turned into the left lane.
She didn't turn into the proper lane. Yes, correct.
We'll just leave that alone.
I
will say that after you went off-roading in the mud, that camera is not very helpful.
Okay,
Since it's totally blurred out.
I did make
you
it my
can't see
goal
anything.
to get as much mud on the car as possible.
Yeah,
so,
which you
sorry.
succeeded. That's all right.
Sorry. But those systems, you should never take your hands off the wheel. Like, you really shouldn't. It'll warn you after a while, and then it'll turn the system off.
Yeah, because you can for a moment take it off, and it's such a relaxing thing. I think that's
to
the
be able
key.
to do. But like being able, if you're on a long drive, just being able to, for like 3 seconds, to be able just to get your hands up and stretch.
Yep.
Makes all of the difference.
Yeah, and you can reach out and you can, press the buttons, change the radio. If you want to listen to the watercolors on XM66, you can do all that. And then you got a couple other cool things on here that I really like with this center stack. Is sometimes, I can tap this and I can get full screen map view, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. But then if I want to change the temperature, it has to take over that screen.
Right.
And they've put in a double screen, and usually I don't like double screens, but this one is a nice dedicated climate screen that, you got your AC and you can turn the knob and you can change the temperature and you can do all that. It does have rear climate as well.
It does.
And so I like having a dedicated screen. Here on Two Guys in Traffic, we do love knobs. This has knobs. You get a left knob and a right knob. And,
if you have gloves on,
yeah, you can use
immediately.
All these things you can use with gloves on when it's cold. This one in the Limited has the ventilated and heated seats, heated steering wheel.
Ventilated and heated second row. That is class exclusive.
Yes.
As long as you don't consider the Kia Telluride in the class.
Yeah. So,
but they both offer it.
Yeah, so they both have it.
But Explorer does not, which is the newest of the competitive segment out, because it literally just came out.
Costs more too.
It costs a few grand more. But that's really that's something that is premium that you have to be almost at Maybach territory to kind of.
Yeah, so have cool seats in the back. And that's the sort of thing that if you're picking up your in-laws or something, and you live somewhere where it's hot or it's cold, and you can turn those ventilated or the heated seats on, that's a really nice comfort thing, and that's going to make people think, this is a really nice car to ride in.
Right.
Riding in the back, which I think is a big thing, because
surprise and delight.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. So you got the kids in the way back, and then you put the in-laws in the back seat. Oh, they get heated seats. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So that's really nice, and you got the second screen. One complaint I do have is this wide row of silver buttons here.
It's hard to read.
It's very hard to read. It's map, nav, radio, media. And honestly, I don't know when I would ever hit those buttons. I don't know.
But especially
because you've got the touch screen.
But especially with some sunshine on it, it's really hard.
It's a little easier today because it's dark. But earlier when it was sunny, you really couldn't see
difficult.
Any of it. And it was
we drove through a few tunnels where it was dark, headlights turned on. Then you can obviously see them perfectly fine.
Because they're all backlit. Yep.
But I would say that's the weakest part probably of the center stack. This screen that you like is very functional, but it's probably one of the two oldest Hyundai parts in here.
Yeah, it's fancy looking.
Yeah, it's not.
But I don't mind that because all it needs to do is show me what the heck the temperature is set to and what the rear is set to and things like that.
But compared to the high resolution beautifulness of this and of the TFT display in the instrument cluster, this is definitely
does sort of stand out
from the parts
a little bit. Yep.
But that's okay. I mean, because it works, and again, the car's not super expensive, and it's not right in your face either. So
that's what you're not staring at. You're just like, what's the temperature set at?
Right.
Oh, it's set on.
And it's very easy to glance at it and immediately know what's going on.
Yep. Something else worth calling out is the buttons. So we do not have a standard PRNDL knob, shifter, whatever. It's a shift by wire. So you got a big park button, reverse drive. One thing you pointed out earlier that I hadn't noticed is that it bongs at you when you change into reverse or drive. So you get a nice confirmation. Okay, you've pressed that button. Something has happened. Things are appropriate. Right. And if you hit the button again, it puts a little message up that says you're still in gear.
You're still in drive.
Fine.
The doors automatically lock when you put it in drive, but if you turn on setting off for whatever reason, which some people do.
But you should leave it on.
You probably
good idea.
Don't want to get carjacked. But it will. But the beeping, I think, is a good feedback because it's not an annoying dong or anything. But
and if you have a physical thing, it'll go ka-chunk.
Right. Yeah.
When you change
you get that
gears.
feedback.
So you do get that.
The other advantage of the shift by wire, and you guys really won't be able to see on this camera, but there'll be some photos and stuff. There's a huge storage bin underneath this console now.
Yeah.
Where you could put
a full size purse.
Yeah.
Under there.
Exactly.
Which is something that I have a couple friends who always say, where do I put my purse in the car? There's never a good place to put it. Oh, you put it by your feet. Yeah, and then it goes under the wheel and
I'm pretty sure my backpack would fit in there right now,
you
to
could
be
put big
honest.
stuff.
Like, it's huge.
And there's plugs in there, and there's actually a pass-through into this bin, which is huge. And another cool thing is the cup holders fold away. And actually, I have footage of that. We'll put that up. And it opens back up. It's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It makes the thing go away, and you can have some extra room. There's also a phone charger in there, which I guess maybe some people will use it.
Charger.
I don't get that, because you got to plug it in to make the CarPlay and Android Auto work anyway.
Right.
Okay.
But
whatever.
Whatever.
But there's plugs under there, and so there are 7 USB outlets.
Yes, there are 7 USB.
So there's 2 up front.
Hyundai has been extremely terrible at offering USB on a lot of their cars.
They seem to be fixing that.
They seem to very quickly be fixing that, because I remember not the brand new that's coming out Sonata, but like the Sonata that's on sale right now has like 1 or 2 in it. Like it is.
Yeah, and I just had a Toyota
really
4Runner
low.
that had 1, but that car's 10 years old. So,
my sort of going philosophy is if you don't have 1 USB port for every passenger in the car, you're not.
And so this has the captain's chairs in the second row, and so it does have 1 per passenger. There's 7. Because there's also these ones on the seats, which is kind of a neat place to put them. Mm-hmm. Then there's some in the third row, which I think are not on the SE, the base model.
Right.
There's no USB in the third row, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
There's also there's a 12-volt power supply, cigarette lighter thing under there.
And a 110 plug.
And then in the back, there's a 110 plug, so the kids can plug in there, whatever. We actually have one of the cameras running off that at the moment. Yep, still running. So that's
good,
cool.
because I don't want to do take 2.
Yep. And so we got 7 USB ports, and we counted 14.
So you can get it to up to 16 cup holders?
6 if you have the bench seat. You get 16 cup holders for 8 seats. You only get 14 for 7
seats.
So 2 per person. And so let's count them. All right, you got 2 here in the center.
Right.
In this thing. 1 in each door or front. So you got 4 for the 2 of us. Yep. That's pretty good. And then you have...
and these in the door are pretty good-sized bins. Like they'll hold... They shouldn't have a problem holding a liter of water.
And then in the second row doors, there are 2 on the door on each side. Mm-hmm. So that is 8. And then there's 2 more on the lower side, so that's 10. And then there's 4 in the way back.
Right. So the one thing that
2 on each side.
So the one thing that the Ford Explorer does better on cup holders is the second row seats. The cup holders that are in the middle, especially if you do the captain's chairs, are round. They're normal cup holders like any other cup holder. The ones in the door, on the top of the doors, are square. They're juice boxes. And it was very specifically done to accommodate that.
Okay.
So it's a weird thing. Like I never would have thought of it, because full disclosure,
you don't have
I
kids
don't
in the
have
back with juice boxes,
right? But when you see it and you think,
and then you're like, oh yeah, why doesn't everybody do that?
Right. Well, yeah. Why doesn't everybody do that? So I would say that like if cup holder priority, like the Subaru Ascent has 19. I don't think they have any juice box holders. The new Explorer does have a juice box holder.
But I think the car companies clearly are embracing. This is a family car,
yes,
100%.
Yes,
and they are embracing we want to plug everything in. We want to have places to put our drinks because we're Americans, and that's great.
And this is definitely heading. I mean, this is definitely a good family-oriented car. Don't get it wrong. Just it's some weird little things that surprise and delight. Like what I really liked about the Explorer was you could put juice boxes in it. Right.
Perfect.
That shouldn't be the reason to buy the car, but if you had it and suddenly realized,
it's a nice bonus. You got a big storage cubby here, and there's another USB outlet in there.
Yeah, good amount of storage.
12-volt plug, storage things. This closes, so you can put stuff on top of it. I guess I don't know.
No USB-C. Some automakers are starting to switch to that plug because it's
all regular USB, but they are 2.1 amps,
which is good.
So you can charge your devices a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm. One demerit that you give it, that the more I think about it, probably is a bigger deal. It does have telematics in here. There's
Blue Link they call it, which is there. You can use the app, and then it's got a couple other features that you can.
There's Alexa and Google Home integration. All sorts of stuff like that. But the demerit you called out for, and I'm starting to kind of get on Team Jordan on this, is there's no Wi-Fi hotspot.
It's got AT&T connectivity. But you can't set up a hotspot, which is when you got kids and they got their iPads plugged in.
You may already own a hotspot. It may not be a big deal for you, but there's probably a few people that really use that feature, and to not have it is it's probably not that much more expensive to add.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to leave out on a family car that's brand new generation. I don't know. And Hyundai didn't have a good explanation for it. for why it's not there.
Right. But
I don't know, whatever.
I mean, it's fun. Like, I don't think most people will miss it, but Explorer has it.
Yeah, Explorer has it,
all of the
and
GM products have it.
FCA
has it.
And it's more and more common.
It's not free. None of these things are free.
Yeah, so most of them have AT&T, and if you have an AT&T plan, you add it for $20 a month, and it's an unlimited hotspot. You can use as much data as you want. For a family, if I had a family, I would want that because they can just slurp all the data and it's fine. But it's not there, so I don't know. That's weird.
But I'm okay to give it up for the $5,000 price difference.
Yeah, for a lot. I mean, that you can buy a hotspot for that and use your phone and whatever. And so I think
you may already have a hotspot. If you already own a family car, odds are you don't have a hotspot in it.
Yeah.
So you might already just own a portable hotspot and like, okay, fine.
Yep.
And there's plenty of USB and stuff to plug it in to keep it charged. Yeah. So it's probably not a huge deal, but if we have to nitpick, it's not there.
And if we're going to complain about that, there are two things I do have to compliment it about.
Okay.
One is you got the two sunroofs,
which
you
is
got
fantastic.
the one in front that opens, and then a huge one in the back that does not, which they promote as giving a better light and things, and headroom.
And it definitely does. And also, Explorer doesn't have the rear one, so Explorer just has the front.
Interesting.
And it's very dark in the Explorer. It's dark in here too if you close all the windows.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff.
if you have the back one open, and so the back one, it doesn't open to the world, but it is a power shade to close. The front one is manual shade. And another thing that's kind of cool is you've got these little indicators on the screen here that will show you when your kids unbuckle.
Right. So not only do
you red light that turns right on as soon as they unbuckle.
Not only do you know if somebody's unbuckled, but you know who is unbuckled.
You also have a little mirror up here.
Yes.
This is stolen from the minivan world.
Yep, which is great.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Clever.
And then the only other, a couple other really cool features for parents specifically is there's a button called Driver Talk, which we won't turn on because you won't be able to figure out what's going on.
Toyota's had it in Highlander for a little bit, but basically
another competitor.
Yes, another competitor to this. Hit a button. I'll have it do the beep. You won't really be able to hear it, but it basically starts a one-way intercom to the third row. So if you don't want to have to yell, "Hey,
Timmy, stop poking your sister."
Right. You might be able to pick the echo up on the video, but yeah, stop poking your sticker. Or don't make me come back there.
And it mutes the music as well. So it can be a good way to get the kids' attention and say, hey, knock it off,
knock it off.
I think mostly it's going to be used for stop it, knock it off, but it could also be used for, hey, we're at grandma's house or whatever.
There might be normal practical uses, but
I think mostly that's the yell at your kids button.
Yeah, it's the yell at your kids
button. Which
button.
sort of makes me.
And they can't yell
this
back.
does have the favorite button, so I bet you could attach that.
I bet you could.
So you can just because I just want a button on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Where's the yell at the kids button? That should be on here.
Of the whole screen real estate, you have to touch.
And you had a little trouble turning it on earlier, and
you had to have this very small section devoted to it.
It should be that whole thing.
Yeah. And there is a mute. There's also
quiet mode.
Quiet mode, I think, as they call it.
Yep.
But basically, what it'll do is it will mute all of the speakers, all the rear speakers in the vehicle, and only leave the front ones on. So if you have a kid sleeping, or if they're using headphones or whatever, you don't have audio coming through the rear speakers. I just saw a charger go by with the yellow protective grids on it. Please take those off if you ever buy a charger. So it basically mutes all the audio, which is kind of useful.
It's a family car. All that is in software, and I think you were saying this earlier, and I strongly feel that taking existing features on the car and repurposing them in new and interesting ways is really cool, and that's a software feature. So the driver talk thing, right? There's already a Bluetooth microphone here, so you can use your phone to talk, and that's all connected through the stereo. Hit that button, send it through the back. That's great.
Right.
Have a button that'll turn off the rear speakers. I mean, you could already do that with I can adjust the rear forward thing. This is just a button, and so that's a great thing as well.
A couple other areas where they do that very cleverly is I don't know if cleverly is even a word, but I'm a writer, so hey,
You've written.
There's a feature basically that allows you to. So when you pull into a parking spot and stop, and you have the car in park, if the child lock is on, which most people are using the child locks, if the child lock is on, and you hit the child unlock button, and the kid goes to open the door, if there's a car in the blind spot,
like if you parallel park.
Yeah, so if you parallel park and there's a car coming down the road and it uses the blind spot sensor, which is already there, and pick up the car coming, so the child won't be able to open the door.
Yes, it locks the door and overrides them, so the kid can't open the door into traffic.
Into traffic.
Parents can still open the door into traffic.
Yes.
Which is kind of silly, but...
But hey, check your mirrors before you open the door.
Yeah.
But for the kids...
Who doesn't have a mirror and they're kids.
Yes.
That is a very cool safety. They have some name for it, but I can't remember.
And it works on both sides of the car, which I confirmed in the Santa Fe program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the identical system as in the Santa Fe. So,
which I think that is fantastic because it's one of those things where, why not do that?
Right.
You have the ability to do it. There's no downside.
Now, does it work amazingly in all situations? No. But if it saves one life, or
saves your door from getting ripped off, that's a little awkward.
I think it's worth it. And considering that all of the hardware is already there, not to diminish the value of what software engineers do, but it's just it's a software fix. It's not.
Yeah, so
we have to put
creating
new hardware
a
in the car.
Yep.
And the second feature that I think is really great is this car does have a rear seat reminder to make you check to make sure you didn't leave anything in the car. So
like a kid.
Yeah, it's like a kid or a dog or your laptop. So if you open the door and close it during like a certain ignition cycle, whatever, a certain time.
I think it's before you get in the car.
And then you turn the car off, it goes ding, 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 and it says, hey, check what's in the backseat. I don't say everybody does it now, but everybody should be doing that now. That should be standard because, again, it's all software. What Hyundai does is it uses a motion sensor, which I believe they're using for the in-car security system, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a motion sensor.
Yeah, it's a motion sensor. So not only will it beep at that, but it will also, for X amount of time after the ignition's been turned off, be watching. So if you have a dog you leave in the car that's sleeping and you forget, or you have a kid who's in the car sleeping and you forget, and it does happen. I know it just does. The stats are there.
Yep.
What it will do is it will send a notification to your phone.
Yes, through the blue link.
Through the telematics, notification to your phone. And they didn't mention in the presentation this morning, but because it does on Santa Fe, and I asked if it was the same system, and they said yes.
Yep.
It'll also beep the horn, so you will it'll sound like
You'll
your car
know.
alarm is going off.
Yep.
So they will make every single possible effort to notify you that there is something in the car. And that's obviously useful if there's a dog. Their example really there was a dog more than a baby.
Well, they don't want to accuse anybody of forgetting their baby.
Right. But it would also be helpful to know if somebody was lying in waiting for you in your car.
Sure, if you want to be a terrified, Dateline NBC, whatever specials.
I don't know. I'm a fat white man. I don't really have to worry about a lot of things, but
I think the only other thing,
except for heart disease.
Jesus. The only other thing to mention, one thing to mention is that you can't put the seat heater and the seat cooler on again at the same time. So far, it's only the BMW that can do that. So
Volvo does it.
Whatever.
Volvo once that did it.
Well, I haven't had the Volvo yet. That had have one of the new Volvos yet. We'll get there.
But
the Europeans do it for some reason. But
because they're ventilated and not cooled, and these are cooled and not ventilated.
What's the difference?
So they're actually actively blowing cold air into the seat. The ventilated seats
it's air-conditioned seats rather than just air being...
Correct.
All right, well, I dig that. All right, so that's fine.
So you don't want warm and cold air blowing on you. Well, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I want air-conditioned and warmed air. So anyway, so it does that, and then whatever. Yeah. And the other thing I think we haven't talked about is the styling.
Yes.
Which is really good.
Blue
I like
Ridge
it.
Parkway.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're in Asheville. It's the thing.
It's here.
You drive on the parkway and you park on the driveway.
That's right.
Boom.
So so the design.
I'm sorry, you're never gonna watch these videos again. It's my fault.
It's all right.
Design.
It's not unlike the Telluride. The basic overall look.
Correct.
Pretty similar, but there's also only so many ways you can draw
a big
SUV. 3-row midsize SUV.
Especially on the same platform.
Yeah.
But what Hyundai does, I think, there's a very distinct front and rear styling.
Yep. Headlights especially. Head and tail lights especially look really good.
I think it looks really good. I like it better than the Telluride. The Telluride's growing on me, but I feel like they described it as a crocodile eye headlight DRL arrangement on this. But I actually think it looks really good.
Yeah, and I've been staring at it in the rear mirror all day.
Yeah.
Because we've had a convoy and they've been behind us, and it's very distinctive.
It is.
Which is hard to do these days because everybody's got DRLs now.
And everybody's doing, and like the DRLs, it does this cool, it bisects the turn signal, and both sides of the turn signal stay lit up. There's a Telluride. I should be like, hey. And actually, I like the rear end on this better than that, too, I believe.
You know, now that I'm staring at it after looking at this one all day, I think this one might be better, too. And the Kia logo is huge and a little bit garish on there, isn't it?
A bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Same exhaust, exact same exhaust and exhaust tips.
Yeah, same exhaust.
So the same sort of bumper application. That's the EXV6, so that's going to be probably direct competitor to those.
Yeah.
But like,
The interior looks the same.
Car.
Yeah, the screen in the center looks the same.
But it pops up.
Yeah, whereas the dash is flush.
Nice and integrated, so this is flush. So when this turns off, it just looks like one piece. That looks like almost a tacked on piece.
An iPad stuck on there.
So kind of like what Ford's doing and what a couple of automakers are doing, where this looks really integrated. You know? You would almost thought we would have staged this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got to say, the one thing that I think is kind of cool about the Telluride is on the front, it has the Telluride letters at the top, and it's sort of a Land Rover-y thing, which I think is definitely what they're homaging slash copying.
They're targeting an outdoor kind of lifestyle kind of buyer, where Hyundai is definitely going after a premium luxury buyer.
Yep. Which I think is why they can have two cars that are sort of kind of the same.
That are very similar. Because I think they drive very similar.
I like the headlights on the Telluride, the little square. So I think both Kia and Hyundai are doing good things there. Yeah. But looking at that from the front, I like this one better.
Yeah.
It's distinctive and it looks good. And I think the luxury thing is good. And I mean, 47 grand.
47.
Starts at 30. So, I mean, it's got a huge gap range from where they start to where they finish. But I think in this one, at the $47,000 mark, this is super competitive.
This interior feels more premium than the Explorer. There's definitely a lot of good premium materials here. I like that they don't gloss black the center. I still don't like the glossy on the side.
It's not quite a gloss black because it looks sort of like a little sparkle. Looks like someone spilled glitter on it. This is gloss black around the screen.
Which I'm not a super huge fan. Though you don't touch it up here, but it still gets a little dirty.
Yeah. But it feels premium.
Yeah, all the materials feel premium. The headliner is Alcantara-ish, Swedish, whatever.
Yeah, it's soft.
It's very soft. Like, you want to touch it.
You know what? You know, I think this is the biggest problem for is Buick.
Yeah.
Because Buick's hitting right in the same price point.
Right.
And Buick doesn't feel premium.
No. Not as premium as this.
They're like good vehicles.
They are.
But this feels nicer. GMC, I think, has the same problem now. The new Acadia, we're going to drive that. You and actually both going to go drive that.
We are.
In Wyoming in a couple weeks. I fear that's going to have the same problem.
I believe it will.
So it's going to be interesting. Hyundai, for a long time, has been challenging the existing people in their markets and sort of coming in at a lower price point, but with higher quality materials. And
the interior materials, like of the leather and this and some of this stuff, is very German. The buttons and switchgear is not. It's
a little.
I mean, they don't necessarily feel cheap, but it's definitely like
this is straight out of a Mercedes. This is straight out of an S-Class, which I don't like on the S-Class either.
True. So there's some parts that feel really, really premium, and then there's some parts that just are okay, that they work well. But I would say that this feels nicer inside than Explorer. I think you're absolutely right on Buick and on GMC. The Kia, I think, has a certain look. If you like the Kia better, okay, go do it. Because I think they drive very similar. But I don't think that there's any... I don't think there's a huge difference in driving dynamics between the two.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think that's sort of the thing where if you really like this and you're thinking about it, go look at the Telluride 2 and just see which one you like better.
They give you, with this, they give you the towing package.
On the Limited.
On all of them.
It's not a separate thing?
No, it's just there.
And that's sway control, and this tows up to 5,000 pounds, which, based on driving today, that's going to be...
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's a big ask for it.
Don't tow 5,000 pounds with this.
But if you had,
if you had a couple of wave runners,
it's got sway control, and then
a dirt
got a couple
bike,
other
or
stuff.
some stuff. It's got some intelligent stuff there, but it gives you the tow package for free, which Kia charges you for. And there was something else that you get on this that either the Kia just straight up didn't have, and I don't remember what it was off the top of my head.
It's the turn signal.
The
cameras.
The
turn signal
camera things. So for the same price, you get more equipment in this. You get unique equipment in this that not even the Kia offers. Check the box for the load leveling rear suspension.
Yes.
Especially if you're going to carry a lot of people, or potentially tow with it. And geez, I mean, which the load leveling comes with the Limited. So,
yeah.
all in, this is...
If you're shopping in the mid-40s looking for a 3-row SUV, this is a great one. Even in the mid-30s, the mid-priced one is pretty solid as far as equipment and stuff goes.
Hyundai could charge $55 for this.
I think you're probably right. I mean, and we were talking earlier, there's gonna be a Genesis version.
Yes.
And it's probably going to have a bigger engine.
Yeah.
It's going to have way more luxury touch points and things.
Because we were talking about engine earlier, and we described it as adequate. I mean, we really didn't talk about engine or transmission in this.
Yeah, which doesn't really matter. It's an 8-speed. It's Hyundai Kia's own design. The engine is a 3-something V6 naturally aspirated,
291 horsepower.
It's fine. It's fine. Not fast.
I wouldn't mind having a premium engine, a premium upgrade engine for a couple of grand, but I don't think that they're going to do it because...
It'd be really expensive. And this one's fine.
Yeah, and this one's fine.
Fuel economy is not great. We'll hit that real quick, and then we got to wrap up.
19 city, 24 highway, 21 combined.
It's not great.
Estimated annual fuel cost $19.50. But hey, whatever, right? This one's built in Korea. The Tellurad's built in Georgia. So there's that.
Well, assembly finished in.
Yes.
Right.
Final assembly.
Yeah, final assembly. I'm just saying a lot of the Tellurad's not built in Georgia, but. Yeah, so I think overall it's a good car.
Yes.
I really like it.
Explorer has better engine options and probably transmission's a bit better. The Kia in this is split, no difference.
Yeah, pick whichever one you like better.
Ascent, I thought was a little wheezy, and that still uses CVT, doesn't it?
Yeah, Subaru likes those. And Subaru engines are traditionally not it's very powerful.
It's okay. It'll be safe. Like, eyesight's great.
Yeah, Subaru's going to be good, but
and resale value will be all right with that.
Highlander is super solid.
It's old, though. Highlander's old.
Yeah.
Atlas, what do you think?
I have not driven it yet.
Okay.
I think it looks great.
Right.
I have not heard great things in general.
Yeah, things have been mixed on it. So, I think a lot of the big key competitors here are... I think this is
Explorer is going to be the big one.
Yeah, Explorer. There's a little bit more space in Explorer. But I would say this is definitely a segment leader on quite a few things.
Yeah.
And the ride quality is solid, and it's quiet, and like I'm having a hard time really finding faults with this.
Yeah, the engine's not loud. I think if we're really going to narrow it down, the engine's not powerful enough. Fuel economy is not great.
Right.
Fine, whatever.
But
maybe
the money
at some
you're
point.
saving over an Explorer,
yeah, you save a lot of money,
Buick,
and it's gonna
whatever
come out in the wash.
And it looks really expensive. You can have it parked at a fancy restaurant. You can take the kids back.
Yeah,
and
parked in front of we're staying at the Grand Bohemian Hotel in Asheville, which is a very nice, luxurious restaurant, and parked in front next to the Porsche Panamera that they had out front yesterday. It looked okay, that's fine. It looks like.
And I really think, like, if you see one in person, it has a lot of presence. I think the design is really solid.
It's fortressy.
There are people that, it's
Palisade means fortress,
right?
And I think it is very fortressy.
So not to like hijack the very end, because I do know you're trying to finish.
No,
this,
it's all good.
But I really think that they've done a really nice job on this.
Yeah, I think it's super solid.
Shortlisted for sure.
Yeah, if you're looking for a 3-row SUV in that sort of price point, even in the low 30s. It's pretty solidly equipped, even at the value level.
Base standard equipment, if you have to have the all-wheel drive, it's $2,000, which I don't think...
33,000, 34,000, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to find for $34,000.
And warranty is super solid.
10-year, 100,000 miles on the powertrain.
What, 560?
And Blue Link services for 3 years, which is also
free.
Cool. And then I will find it 10-year
bumper to bumper is 5 years.
5 years, 60,000 for new vehicle.
Yeah, which that's super solid. That's better than Ford's going to give you.
Yes, because Ford's still only doing either 3 or 4. The only people that do better than that is Volkswagen, because thanks to Dieselgate, they have to offer a 772 bumper to bumper.
Yep.
But that's maybe not the only reason to buy it. It's a Julia. It's so pretty. It'll explode, but I don't care because it's pretty.
Yeah, this is a good looking car.
It's a good looking car. Anyways, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. And if we end up on another drive, I'll drag you in. But we gotta do the thing. So there's a button on your iPhone or Android or in your web browser or whatever. It says subscribe. You need to hit that. Smack that subscribe button, and then even more importantly. Well, not more importantly, but
punch
second
that
is
notification
important.
bell.
The bell. You got to hit the bell. Everybody likes the bell.
So I hate when YouTubers tell me to hit the notification bell. But what's really interesting is I mean, some people have notification stuff, whatever, but YouTube won't necessarily show the video to all of the subscribers at the same time. So if you just subscribe, you may not see the video right away or within a certain amount of time.
Yep.
So YouTube prioritizes that. So even if you have notifications turned off on your phone, still hit the notification bell because YouTube doesn't know. That way you can see the videos sooner.
Yeah, it's like an extra like button.
Yeah, it's like an extra like button.
Yeah, and hit like, and most importantly, comment below and tell us what we got wrong, because this is the internet and we always get stuff wrong.
So subscribe down here, comment down here, notification bell. I don't
know, just do it. Anyway, we appreciate it, and thanks for watching, and thank you, Chad, for coming along and sitting in traffic.
And literally sitting in traffic.
Literally sitting in traffic. Was this more fun than driving on the Blue Ridge Parkway this morning? The answer is no.
The answer is no.
The answer is no.
For Hyundai watching, no. But it is really...
It's a good place to actually test it out.
You know, the idea of sitting in traffic is kind of crazy, but that's what most people are going to do. And, you know, we wouldn't have seen the Telluride, we wouldn't have seen this Explorer just go by now. It really is the right kind of environment. And I like talking and driving.
Yeah.
I find that to be a real good way to talk, you know, to hit what we need to hit. So,
So there we go. We're going to go back and have some fancy Hyundai dinner.
Because we always eat well on press programs.
Yeah, it's clearly... Between the two of us, we eat
I
pretty well.
I probably eat too well.
Yeah.
Don't comment about that down here. Just ignore that.
Yeah, that's fine. I had bison last night, and that was pretty delicious. And
the bison
the pheasant soup.
The pheasant soup was really
It's hard
good.
life being a journalist, guys.
It is very hard life. Don't decide to do this, right?
Don't become a car
because
journalist.
we don't need more YouTube competitors.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and with that, we're out. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.